Carlos from Atlanta, thank you so much for asking me to review your Proforma. While I'm honored that you think that I'm smart enough to do that, unfortunately, it's not something that I can do as your franchise consultant. It is just not my job. A franchise consultant's job is not to get into the nitty-gritty details of your investigation. My job as a franchise consultant is to encourage you to ask those types of questions to people from within the franchise. Like, I'm not part of the franchise. I don't know how that pro forma should look. So what advice could I really give you? It's not my job to give you advice. It's my job to guide your process. The advice that I'm giving is on how to think about the process that you're going through, to be a resource, to be a trusted advisor, guiding you through the due diligence, but not doing it for you. The people within the franchise system are the ones who have the answers to the questions that you're asking. So the other franchisees are the best source when you're asking for a review of the pro forma that you've put together. Now, if a franchisor has made a very complete earnings claim, and many of the franchisors that I work with do, and they go through the spreadsheet with you in what's called a unit economics review, where they're reviewing money going into the business and money coming out. So they're going through their item 7 of their franchise disclosure document and item 19, their earnings claim. Then you might be able to give your pro forma to them and they might be able to comment on it. But they might also say, we legally cannot comment on that until after you pay us money and become a business owner. So you got to go out and validate with our franchise owners. So ultimately, we're probably all going to push you to the franchisees. But you know what I want to say to you, Carlos, as your daily coach? There's a better way to think about this than trying to have that perfect pro forma. I have videos right here on this channel where I dispel the myth that you can have a perfect pro forma before you say yes. It's really an impossible task. The reason being that you, Carlos, you are the biggest determining factor for your success in that business. How can you have a perfect pro forma when you and what you're going to do in the business is not being factored into the numbers that are created? Now, I know this is contrary. You think, but it's a franchise. There's a track record of success. Like, if I can't build my business off of the standards of other people, then what am I doing here? What you're doing here is investing in a proven process by a franchisor. We know the plan works, but the question is, how are you going to work the plan? How you work the plan ultimately determines the success of your business. How you work the plan determines how fast your business gets out of the gate and grows. How you work the plan determines how big you grow, the size of your dreams, the size of your goals. That's what will determine how your pro forma is going to look. So I totally understand what you're trying to do, and you can use the validation from other franchisees to understand how their pro formas look, and that makes you feel confident that if you say yes and invest this money, there's some amount of return that feels reasonable to expect. But there are no guarantees, and I worry that if you set an expectation for what you can do based on what other people have done, you might end up disappointed. You might end up creating a limiting belief for yourself. So I feel it's better to go back to my 4 daily plan questions. And there's a video on this channel about the daily plan. Go back to those 4 questions, which don't have anything to do with Mr. Business Owner, how much money are you making, right? Because that's not important. What's important is what are owners waking up and doing to drive that activity, right? The ratio of their numbers in the context of their goals. If I can understand that, then I can extrapolate those to my own goals. But I want to go into that franchise business with my mind clear on what I want to accomplish. I want to validate with other franchisees that franchisor is going to train me and be there to support me. I want to validate with franchisees that the marketing works to get the phone to ring. I want to validate that when I open my doors and start going out there and promoting my business, the customers will come. That's what I want to validate. The rest of it ultimately is up to me or up to you. So take that pro forma back to the franchisees. But at the end of the day, Carlos, I want you to make a decision for you based on aligning a business with your goals, professional, personal, and financial, and finding a culture built by a franchisor that inspires you. A franchisor that has a vision for building a brand that you say, I want to be a part of that vision. I want to bring your brand back to Atlanta and be your number one franchisee. I want you to focus on those things rather than that perfect pro forma. But thank you so much for asking that question. For those of you out there that have a question that you would like the Daily Coach to answer directly to you on Kim Daily TV, please follow the email on the screen below right now.